this story is for you. Hit that like button if you're ready to see someone finally stand up for themselves, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on because Sandra's journey is going to teach us all about the power of saying no and meaning it. Now, let me tell you about the night that changed everything for Sandra Whitmore. My name is Sandra Whitmore, and I'm 58 years old. People tell me I'm beautiful for my age, silver hair that catches the light just right, blue eyes that still sparkle, and a smile that used to light up every room I entered. But beauty means nothing when your own daughter treats you like you're invisible. It was a Tuesday when Emma called. My daughter, 28 years old, and engaged to a man I'd only met twice through video calls. Her voice was breathless with excitement. "Mom, guess what? Tyler proposed. Can you believe it? We're having an engagement dinner this Friday at 7. You have to come." I dropped my coffee mug. Not literally, but my heart certainly did. "Oh, honey, that's wonderful. Of course I'll be there." "Where?" "At Chez Laurent downtown. It's this amazing French place. Very exclusive." She rattled off the address, and I quickly wrote it down. "Everyone's going to be there, Mom. Tyler's parents, his siblings, our college friends. It's going to be perfect." After we hung up, I stared at the address. Chez Laurent was in Chicago. I lived in small-town Indiana, a 13-hour drive away. But this was my daughter's engagement dinner. My only child. Of course, I would drive 13 hours. I call my boss immediately. "Janet, I need Friday off. Family emergency, well, not emergency, but family celebration. My daughter's engagement dinner." "Sandra, that's wonderful. Of course, take the day off. Actually, take Monday too if you need recovery time from the drive." That's when I realized Emma hadn't asked where I lived now. She hadn't asked if 13 hours was too far. She just assumed I'd figure it out like I always did. I spent Wednesday shopping for the perfect gift. A beautiful crystal vase from Tiffany's that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. I had it engraved, "To Emma and Tyler. May your love grow stronger with each passing day. All my love, Mom." Thursday night, I packed my overnight bag with care. My best dress. Navy blue with pearls, elegant, but not attention-stealing. New shoes that wouldn't hurt after standing all evening. The gift, wrapped in silver paper with a silk ribbon. I left at midnight, driving through the darkness with nothing but coffee and classic rock to keep me company. The highway stretched endlessly ahead, but I didn't mind. This was for Emma. This was her big moment, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. 13 hours. 4 rest stops. 2 gas fill-ups. 1 speeding ticket in Ohio that I paid with a smile because Officer Martinez reminded me to drive safe. "Someone's counting on you to arrive." "Yes," I told him. "My daughter. It's her engagement dinner tonight." He smiled. "Well then, congratulations, ma'am. Drive careful now." I arrived at Chez Laurent at 6:45 p.m., 15 minutes early. Perfect timing. I checked my reflection in the rearview mirror, applied fresh lipstick, and walked toward the restaurant with Emma's gift in my hands and love in my heart. The hostess was a young woman with perfectly styled hair and a practiced smile. "Good evening. Do you have a reservation? I'm here for the Tyler-Emma engagement party. Emma Morrison is my daughter." Her smile faltered slightly. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but that party was yesterday evening." The world stopped. "I'm sorry, what?" "The Morrison-Williams engagement dinner was last night. Thursday evening." I stood there, holding my beautiful wrapped gift, wearing my best dress, after driving 13 hours. That can't be right. She told me Friday at 7. The hostess looked genuinely sympathetic. I remember the party well. Beautiful couple. But it was definitely yesterday. Perhaps there was a miscommunication? Miscommunication. As if I didn't know the difference between Thursday and Friday. As if I hadn't written it down. As if I hadn't driven through the night to be here. I called Emma with shaking fingers. She answered on the fourth ring. Mom, what's wrong? You sound weird. Emma, I'm at Chez Laurent for your engagement dinner. Silence.
Then, oh.
Oh no, Mom, that was yesterday. Yesterday. Yeah, we decided to move it up a day. Tyler's parents could only do Thursday, so we… Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. I thought I texted you. I checked my phone.
No texts.
No calls. No change of date notification. We only invited close family anyway, she continued, her voice getting smaller. You know, just immediate family. Tyler's parents and siblings. It was really small. Close family only. I wasn't close family. I see, I said, my voice steady despite the earthquake in my chest. Mom, are you okay? You're not mad, are you? I was devastated. I was humiliated. I was heartbroken.
But mad?
That would come later. I'm not mad. Oh, good. Hey, since you're in town, maybe we can grab brunch tomorrow before you drive back? There's this cute little place. I need to go, Emma. Have a lovely evening. I hung up and walked back to my car. The valet gave me a concerned look. Everything all right, ma'am? I managed to smile. Just fine, thank you. I sat in my car for exactly 5 minutes, allowing myself that time to feel the full weight of what had happened. Then I started the engine and began the 13-hour drive home. But something had changed during those 5 minutes. Something fundamental had shifted in my chest, like a tectonic plate moving deep underground. The woman who drove away from Chez Laurent that night wasn't quite the same woman who had driven there. That woman had loved unconditionally and given endlessly. This woman was starting to keep score. If you've ever felt overlooked by the people you love most, hit that like button. You're not alone in this feeling. And before we continue with Sandra's story, I want to share something important with you. If you've ever been told you're too old to start over, let me tell you, that's a lie. Your story isn't over, and you still have chapters left to write. Our best-selling book, Reclaiming Your Peace After Pain, is filled with simple, powerful steps to help you heal, rebuild, and fall in love with life again. Click the link in the description box and start your new beginning today. Now, let's see what happens when Sandra gets home, because this is where our story really begins. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. You won't want to miss how this unfolds. I arrived home at 8 a.m. Saturday, exhausted but wide awake. The house felt different somehow, like I was seeing it through new eyes. All the photos of Emma on the mantel. Her school awards still displayed in the hallway. The bedroom I'd kept ready for her visits that happened maybe twice a year. I made coffee and sat at my kitchen table, still wearing my wrinkled dress from the night before. The Tiffany's gift sat unopened on the counter, mocking me with its pristine silver wrapping.
My phone rang.
Emma's ringtone, Dancing Queen by ABBA, because she used to dance to it as a little girl.
Mom.
How was the drive back? I felt so bad about the mix-up. She didn't sound bad. She sounded cheerful, like she'd already forgotten. It was fine. Good. Hey, Tyler and I were talking, and we really want to make it up to you. We're thinking of having another little celebration next month, maybe something more casual. You could meet his parents properly. Another event, for her convenience. Another chance for me to reorganize my life around her schedule. That sounds lovely, I lied. Perfect. Oh, and Mom, I hate to ask, but could you help us out with the wedding expenses? Tyler's parents are being a little stingy, and we really want to do this right. You know how important this is to me. There it was. The real reason for the call. How much are we talking about? Well, the venue alone is $30,000, and then there's the dress, the flowers, the photographer, maybe $60,000 total. I know it's a lot, but you always said you wanted to give me the wedding of my dreams. More than I made in a year at my job at the insurance office. I'll think about it, Emma. Oh, Mom, thank you. You're the best. I knew you'd understand. Love you. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there holding my phone, staring at the number 60,000 in my head. I thought about my savings account, money I'd set aside for retirement, for emergencies, for maybe taking that trip to Italy I'd always dreamed about. Then I thought about Thursday night, driving 13 hours to an empty restaurant. Close family only. Sunday passed in a haze. I unpacked my bag, returned the dress to my closet, and put the gift in my spare bedroom closet. I didn't know what to do with it yet. Monday morning, I went back to work. Janet asked about the engagement dinner. It was lovely, I said, because what else could I say? 2 days later, my phone rang at 2 p.m. Emma again, but this time her voice was different.
Panicked.
Mom, something's wrong with the credit card. The credit card. My credit card that I'd added her to when she was in college. The one that was supposed to be for emergencies only, but had somehow become her regular spending account. What do you mean? It's not working. I'm at Nordstrom trying to buy shoes for the engagement photos, and it keeps getting declined. The lady here is being really rude about it. Did you forget to pay it again? Again. As if I regularly forgot to pay my bills. As if I was some senile old woman who couldn't manage her finances. I didn't forget to pay anything, Emma. Well, then what's wrong with it? This is so embarrassing. There are people in line behind me. I looked at my computer screen. I was logged into my bank account, looking at the credit card summary. Emma had spent $847 this week alone. Restaurants, shopping, a spa day. While I was driving 13 hours to her moved engagement dinner. The card is working fine, I said calmly. Then why won't it go through? This was my moment. My tectonic plate moment. I took a deep breath. Only close family can use my card now. The silence on the other end was deafening. What? What do you mean? You said the engagement dinner was for close family only. I wasn't close family then, so I'm assuming I'm not close family for credit card purposes either. Mom, that's not. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious, Emma. But how am I supposed to buy things? The engagement photos are this weekend, and I suppose you'll figure it out. You're an adult, after all. Mom, this isn't fair. I said I was sorry about the dinner. And I accepted your apology. But saying sorry and meaning sorry are two different things. What's that supposed to mean? I thought about the 13-hour drive, the empty restaurant, the valet's concerned face, the $60,000 wedding request that came so quickly after her apology. It means actions have consequences, sweetheart. I need to go. I'm at work. Mom, wait. I hung up. Janet poked her head around my cubicle wall. Everything okay? You look a little flushed. Everything's fine, I said. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. My phone buzzed with texts from Emma for the next hour. Angry ones, then pleading ones, then angry again. I put it on silent and went back to work. That evening, I called my credit card company. I'd like to remove an authorized user from my account. Certainly, ma'am. Can I get the name of the person you're removing? Emma Morrison. My daughter. There was a pause. Are you sure, ma'am? Once removed, they won't be able to make any charges on this account. I'm absolutely sure. May I ask the reason for the removal? I smiled, thinking of Emma panicking in Nordstrom, of the sales clerk waiting, of the line of people behind her. She's not close family. The representative didn't understand, but he processed the request. Emma Morrison was officially removed from my account at 6:47 p.m. on a Wednesday evening. I made myself a nice dinner that night. Salmon with asparagus. A glass of wine. I ate slowly, savoring each bite, thinking about my beautiful, entitled daughter learning what it felt like to have a card declined. It tasted like the first bite of freedom. Can you believe the audacity? $60,000 for a wedding, but Sandra wasn't close enough family for the engagement dinner. If this story is making your blood boil, smash that like button. And if you're wondering what Sandra does next, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because this is just the beginning of her revenge journey. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Emma didn't call for 3 days. 3 blissfully quiet days where I went to work, came home, and didn't have to manage anyone's emotional crisis or financial emergency. On Saturday morning, she finally cracked. Mom, we need to talk. Good morning, Emma. How are you? How am I? I'm stressed out of my mind. Do you know how humiliating it was to have my card declined? Tyler's starting to ask questions about money, and I don't know what to tell him. I was making pancakes, something I never did for myself anymore. What kind of questions? About our finances. About whether I can actually afford this wedding. About whether my family is going to help or not. Our finances. As if Emma and Tyler were a single financial unit, and I was some external investor they were courting. Well, what did you tell him? I told him you were being dramatic and that you'd get over it. I flipped my pancake, with perhaps a bit more force than necessary. I see. Mom, come on. This is ridiculous. You can't stay mad forever. I'm your only daughter. I'm not mad, Emma. Then turn the card back on.
No.
The single word hung between us like a dropped stone. What do you mean, no? I mean no.
Enya. No.
But Mom, I need. What do you need, Emma? Really need. I need to buy groceries. And gas.
And
You have a job.
Tyler has a job.
Buy groceries with your own money. You don't understand. We're saving for the wedding, and we're trying to buy a house, and everything's so expensive. Everything's always been expensive, sweetheart. The difference is, you used to have access to my money to make it feel less expensive. There was a long pause. When Emma spoke again, her voice was smaller. Are you punishing me? For the dinner thing? I sat down with my perfectly golden pancakes. I'm not punishing you, Emma. I'm just done subsidizing a lifestyle I can't afford for someone who doesn't consider me close family. I never said you weren't family. You said the engagement dinner was for close family only. I wasn't invited. Therefore, I'm not close family. It's simple logic. That's not. You're twisting my words. Am I? Because it seems pretty straightforward to me. Emma started crying. It was her weapon of choice, had been since she was 5 years old. The tears that used to make me drop everything and fix whatever was wrong. Mom, please. I'm sorry about the dinner. I really am. It was Tyler's idea to keep it small, and I should have insisted you be there. I was wrong. I took a bite of pancake. It was delicious. Thank you for apologizing. So you'll turn the card back on?
No.
But you just said. I said thank you for apologizing. Apologies are nice, but they don't automatically restore privileges. Privileges. Her voice shot up an octave. That's my emergency credit card. Your emergency credit card that you used to buy shoes for engagement photos? Silence. And spa days? And dinners at restaurants that cost more than I spend on groceries in a month. More silence. Emma, honey, you haven't had a real emergency in your entire adult life. Because every time something came up, you used my card. Car trouble? My card. Broke up with a boyfriend and needed to redecorate? My card. Wanted to take that girl's trip to Miami? My card. Those were emergencies to me. A spa day is not an emergency. You don't understand how stressful my life is. I laughed. Actually laughed. Your life is stressful? Emma, I work full-time, pay my own bills, and still had enough energy to drive 13 hours to support you. What exactly is stressful about your life? I have responsibilities. Such as? Another long pause. Work is really demanding right now. You work part-time at a boutique. And I'm planning a wedding, which you're asking me to pay for. And looking for a house, which you expect me to help with down payment. Each response was making her sound more and more ridiculous, and we both knew it. "Mom," she said finally, her voice small, "are you trying to teach me a lesson?" "I'm trying to teach you what I should have taught you years ago. That money has to come from somewhere. That someone has to earn it. That someone has to make sacrifices to give you the things you want. I know that.
Do you?
Because you've never had to do without something you wanted." "That's not true. Name one thing you've wanted that you didn't get because you couldn't afford it." Silence stretched between us for 30 seconds, 40, a full minute. "I can't think of anything right now, but—" "Exactly. Mom, this isn't fair. Other parents help their kids. Other parents get invited to their children's engagement dinners. How long are you going to hold that over my head?" "I'm not holding it over your head, Emma. I'm using it as a learning experience. You showed me exactly how important I am in your life. I'm simply adjusting my financial priorities to match. So, what am I supposed to do?" "Whatever other people do when they want something they can't afford. Save for it. Work extra hours. Ask your fiancé to contribute. Ask his parents, the close family, for help." "Tyler's parents aren't going to pay for our wedding." "Well then, I guess you'll need to plan a wedding you can actually afford." The gasp that came through the phone was audible. "You want me to have a cheap wedding?" "I want you to have a wedding that reflects your actual budget, not your wishful thinking." "But Mom, I've dreamed about this my whole life. And I've dreamed about retirement and maybe traveling, and not working until I'm 70 to pay for other people's dreams." This seemed to genuinely shock her. "You want to retire?" The innocence in her voice was almost heartbreaking. It had never occurred to her that I had wants and needs and dreams of my own. "Yes, Emma. I want to retire. I want to see Italy. I want to take art classes. I want to do things for myself occasionally. But you've never mentioned any of that." "When would I mention it? Between paying your bills and solving your emergencies?" She was quiet for a long time. "I didn't know you felt this way." "I didn't either, until I drove 13 hours to an empty restaurant." "Mom, I need to go, Emma." This was a lie. I was meeting no one. But I wanted to get off the phone, and I wanted her to think I had a social life that didn't revolve around her. "Wait, what friend?" "Someone from work. We're going to try that new Italian place." Another lie, but a satisfying one. "Since when do you go out to lunch with coworkers?" "Since I stopped spending my weekends managing your drama, I thought." "Since today. Have a good day, sweetheart." I hung up and immediately made a reservation at Marcello's, the new Italian place downtown. Table for one at 1 p.m. If I was going to lie about having lunch plans, I might as well follow through. And you know what? The osso buco was absolutely divine. My lunch at Marcello's was supposed to be spite dining, eating alone just to prove to Emma that I could. But something unexpected happened between the bread course and the tiramisu. I enjoyed myself. The server, Marcus, was attentive without being intrusive. The other diners seemed relaxed and happy. There was a couple celebrating their anniversary at the corner table, an older gentleman reading a newspaper by the window, and a group of women laughing over shared plates of pasta. I belonged here, not as someone's mother or someone's problem solver, but as Sandra. Just Sandra, having lunch and reading a book and existing in the world as my own person. When I paid the check, with my own money from my own account, I felt lighter than I had in months. "Excuse me," the server said as I was leaving. "I don't mean to be forward, but you seem like you really enjoyed yourself. We have wine tastings every Friday evening if you're interested." Wine tastings. When was the last time I'd done something like that? "That sounds lovely," I heard myself say. "What time?" 7:30. Very casual, just a chance to try some new wines and meet people. I walked to my car thinking about wine tastings and meeting people and doing things on Friday evenings besides waiting for Emma's crisis calls. Monday morning at work, Janet cornered me by the coffee machine. "Sandra, you seem different lately." Good, different. Are you doing something new? I thought about my weekend. The Italian lunch, the long bubble bath, the 3 movies I'd watched without interruption. I'm just simplifying my life a bit. Well, whatever you're doing, keep it up. You look 10 years younger. 10 years younger. When was the last time someone had said that? At lunch, I decided to call my sister Rebecca in Portland. We hadn't talked in months. Emma's various crises always seemed to interrupt our conversations. Sandra, what a surprise. How are you? I'm good, Becca. Really good, actually. We talked for an hour. About her pottery classes, her garden, her neighbor's new puppy. Normal, pleasant conversation about normal, pleasant things. You know what? Rebecca said toward the end of our call. You should come visit. Portland in the fall is gorgeous. I'd love that, I said, surprising myself again. Really? You're not too busy with Emma's latest drama? Emma's latest drama. Is that how my sister saw my life? As a series of Emma-related emergencies? No drama right now. Things are peaceful. Well, hallelujah. Maybe you'll actually make it this time. This time. How many trips had I canceled because Emma needed something? That afternoon, Emma called. But instead of the usual panic or demand, her voice was different. Cautious. Mom? How are you?
I'm okay.
Listen, Tyler and I have been talking, and we think maybe we were asking too much about the wedding expenses. I set down my pen and gave her my full attention. Oh, yeah. We've been looking at smaller venues, more budget-friendly options. We found this really cute place outside the city that's only $15,000 for everything. $15,000 instead of $60,000. Progress. That sounds more reasonable. And we were wondering, hoping maybe you could help with $5,000? Just $5,000, and we'll handle the rest ourselves. $5,000 was still a lot of money for me. But it was less than the cost of a credit card that got used for spa days and shopping sprees. Let me think about it. Really? Her voice perked up. You'll think about it? I said I'd think about it, Emma. That's not the same as saying yes. But you're not saying no. I'm not saying anything yet. I need to consider whether $5,000 is a good investment. Investment.
Yes.
Investment in our relationship. Investment in your future. Investment in whether I believe you've learned something from this experience. I have learned something. I've learned that I can't just expect you to pay for everything. Have you? Because asking me for $5,000 sounds a lot like expecting me to pay for something. She was quiet for a moment. But this is different. This is my wedding. And the engagement dinner was your engagement dinner. And the credit card was for emergencies. Everything is always important when you want something, Emma. So you won't help at all? I didn't say that either. I said I need to see evidence that you understand what went wrong between us. I understand. I hurt your feelings by not inviting you properly to the dinner. That's part of it. And I used your credit card for non-emergencies. Also part of it. Then what else? I looked out my office window at the parking lot. How to explain to your adult child that they've been treating you like an ATM instead of a person? Emma, when you called me about the credit card being declined, what was the first thing you said? I said something was wrong with the card. And then, I asked if you forgot to pay it. You assumed I had messed up. You didn't consider that maybe there was a reason the card wasn't working. You immediately blamed me. I didn't mean it like that. But that's what you said. And that's what you always do. When something goes wrong, you assume it's my fault or my responsibility to fix it. She was quiet for a long time. I don't do that. Emma, you've done it our entire relationship. When you were in college and your roommate was mean, whose job was it to call and complain to the housing department? You offered to help. When you couldn't afford your apartment deposit, who was supposed to figure out a solution? You said family helps family. When your car broke down last year, who was responsible for getting it fixed? I paid you back for that. 3 months later, after I had to ask twice. I could hear her breathing through the phone. Mom, I didn't realize. I know you didn't, because I never made you realize it. I just solved every problem and paid every bill and made every excuse. So, what do you want from me? I want you to understand that I'm a person, not just your mother. I have feelings and needs and limits. I know you're a person.
Do you?
Because people don't drive 13 hours to empty restaurants. People don't lend money they can't afford to lose. People don't accept being called not close family without consequences. I said I was sorry about that, and I accepted your apology. But sorry doesn't mean everything goes back to how it was. Sorry means you acknowledge the hurt and you change the behavior that caused it. What behavior? I can't uninvite you from the dinner. It already happened. The behavior where you make plans that affect me without including me. The behavior where you ask for money and assume the answer will be yes. The behavior where my feelings and needs come second to your wants. She was crying now. Not the manipulative tears from before, but actual sadness. I don't want to hurt you, Mom. Then stop hurting me.
How?
Figure out your own problems before asking me to solve them. Save your own money before asking for mine. Think about how your decisions affect me before you make them. That sounds like being an adult. I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. Exactly like being an adult. We sat in silence for a moment. If I do those things, if I really try, will you consider helping with the wedding? If you do those things, Emma, you might not need my help with the wedding. But if I do need help, then we'll talk about it. But not until I see you trying to handle things yourself first. How long do I have to prove myself? However long it takes. After we hung up, I realized something had shifted again. Not the earthquake shift from the restaurant parking lot, but something gentler. Like a door opening that had been closed for a very long time. Maybe there was hope for us after all. But first, Emma was going to have to earn it. Now, this is what I call setting boundaries. Sandra is finally making Emma work for the relationship instead of just expecting everything to be handed to her. But don't think the story is heading toward a simple happy ending. Oh no, we're just getting started. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will shock you. Trust me, you'll want to see how Emma handles being told no for the first time in her life. 2 weeks passed without a word from Emma. 2 weeks of peaceful evenings, uninterrupted weekends, and phone calls that didn't involve financial emergencies or emotional crises. I attended my first wine tasting at Marcello's. Met a book club through Janet. Started taking evening walks around my neighborhood instead of sitting by the phone waiting for disaster calls. On a Thursday afternoon, Emma finally called. Mom, I have good news and bad news. Here we go, I thought. The same old pattern. Crisis first, then the request for rescue. What's the bad news? I asked, expecting car trouble or a fight with Tyler or some other problem that would somehow become my responsibility. Tyler lost his job. I set down my coffee and waited for the rest. The part where this became my problem to solve. And the good news? I prompted when she didn't continue. I got a promotion. Assistant manager at the boutique, with a raise and everything. I blinked. This was not the conversation I'd expected. Emma, that's wonderful about your promotion. I'm sorry to hear about Tyler. Yeah, it sucks. His company downsized, and he was one of the newest hires. But Mom, I didn't call to ask you to fix anything. She didn't? I called to tell you that we're postponing the wedding. Oh, honey. No, it's okay. Actually, it's good. Tyler's been stressed about money anyway, and this gives us time to really save up. We found jobs for him, 3 interviews lined up already, and with my promotion, we can actually start building our own emergency fund. Our own emergency fund. Not my emergency fund.
Theirs.
That sounds very responsible, Emma. I learned from a very smart woman that it's better to plan a wedding you can actually afford. I felt something warm unfold in my chest. And she continued, Tyler and I talked about what you said, about me always making my problems your problems. We made a list of all the times I've called you for money or help in the last year. How long was the list? Embarrassingly long. Like, really embarrassingly long. I waited. 23 times, Mom. In 1 year. Tyler couldn't believe it. He said his parents would have stopped taking his calls after the third time. 23 times. I hadn't even realized it was that many. And we made another list of times I've called just to see how you were doing, or to tell you about good things in my life, or to ask about your life. I had a sinking feeling about this second list. How long was that one? 4 times. And 2 of those were birthday calls. 4 times versus 23. The math was sobering. Emma, I know.
I know, Mom.
I've been a terrible daughter. You haven't been terrible. You've been young and thoughtless. Is there a difference? I considered this. Young and thoughtless can change. Terrible is permanent. She laughed, but it sounded shaky. I want to change. Tyler wants me to change too. He said he fell in love with me, not with my mother's credit card.
Smart, Mun.
So, I have a proposition for you. Here it comes, I thought. The catch. The request. The reason for this call. I want to take you to dinner. My treat. Actually, my treat. With my money from my new promotion. I nearly dropped the phone. You want to take me to dinner? I want to celebrate my promotion with my mom. And I want to apologize properly. Not over the phone, not in a 5-minute conversation, but really apologize. For all of it. Emma, you don't have to. Yes, I do. And I want to hear about your life. About work and your friends and what you want to do when you retire. Tyler made me realize I don't know anything about your life outside of being my mom. I sat there stunned. This was not the Emma I knew. This Emma was thinking about my feelings, my needs, my life as separate from her own. I'd like that very much. Really? You're not too busy? I know it's short notice. I'm free this weekend. Perfect. How about Saturday at 7? That Italian place you mentioned, Marcello's? You remember I mentioned Marcello's? I remember everything you said during our last conversation, Mom. I wrote it down afterwards so I wouldn't forget. She wrote it down. My adult daughter wrote down our conversation so she wouldn't forget what I'd told her about my feelings. Saturday at 7 sounds perfect. Great. And Mom? Thank you. For what? For not giving up on me. For teaching me something I should have learned years ago. After we hung up, I stared at my phone for a long time. Was this real? Or was this just a more sophisticated manipulation, the kind that comes with age and experience? I decided it didn't matter. Either Emma was genuinely trying to change, in which case I should encourage it, or she was manipulating me more cleverly, in which case I'd find out soon enough. Either way, I was going to enjoy a nice dinner at my favorite restaurant. Saturday arrived with the first hint of fall in the air. I dressed carefully, not my best dress this time, but something comfortable and pretty. I arrived at Marcello's at exactly 7 o'clock. Emma was already there, sitting at a corner table, studying the menu with intense concentration. She looked up when I approached, and her face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in years.
Mom.
You look beautiful. Thank you, sweetheart. You look lovely, too. She did. She dressed nicely, but not expensively. Her hair was pulled back simply, and she wasn't wearing the designer jewelry I'd become accustomed to seeing on her. I already ordered wine, she said as I sat down. The server recommended a nice Chianti. I hope that's okay. That sounds perfect. Marcus appeared at our table with the wine and 2 glasses. Mrs. Whitmore, how lovely to see you again. And this must be your daughter. I can see the resemblance. Yes, this is Emma. Well, you ladies enjoy your evening. The osso buco is exceptional tonight, just like last time. After he left, Emma raised her eyebrows. Last time? You've been here before. A few times recently. I've been exploring more. Exploring. Restaurants, activities, friendships. Things I used to do before. Before you spent all your time managing my life. I started to protest, but she held up her hand. It's okay, Mom. We both know it's true. I want to hear about this exploring. So I told her. About the wine tastings, the book club, my sister's invitation to Portland. About Marcus recommending restaurants and Janet inviting me to her weekend art class. Emma listened with an attention I wasn't used to receiving from her. She asked questions, made comments, seemed genuinely interested in my answers. Mom, you sound happy. I am happy. Happier than when you were constantly worried about me? I considered the question carefully. I wasn't happy worrying about you, Emma. But I thought that was what being a good mother meant. What do you think it means now? I think it means raising a daughter who can worry about herself. She nodded slowly. I haven't been giving you much chance to be proud of me, have I? You've given me plenty to be proud of. Your kindness, your creativity, your loyalty to your friends. But not my independence. Not my responsibility. No, not those things. She reached across the table and took my hand. I want you to be proud of those things too. Then show me. I am. Starting now. Starting with paying for this dinner without borrowing money from anyone. The dinner was lovely. Emma asked about my job, my dreams, my plans for the future. She told me about her work, her goals, her fears about marriage and adulthood. We talked like two adults who happen to care about each other, rather than a problem creator and a problem solver. When the check came, Emma took it without hesitation. She pulled out her own credit card and paid without drama or apology or requests for reimbursement. There, she said. My first independent dinner celebration. How does it feel? Expensive, she said with a laugh. But good. Really good. As we walked to our cars, Emma stopped and turned to me. Mom, I have one more thing to say. Here it comes, I thought. The request. The catch. The real reason for this dinner. I'm proud of you too. What? I'm proud of you for standing up to me. For teaching me something nobody else ever bothered to teach me. For loving me enough to make me face the truth about myself. I felt tears prick my eyes. It would have been easier to just keep enabling me, she continued. To keep paying my bills and solving my problems and pretending everything was fine. But that wouldn't have helped me grow up. I should have done it years ago. Maybe.
But you did it when it mattered most.
Right before I got married and potentially ruined my marriage the same way I was ruining our relationship. She hugged me then, a real hug that lasted more than the perfunctory second I'd become accustomed to. I love you, Mom. The real you, not just the ATM version. I love you too, sweetheart. As I drove home that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in years when it came to Emma. Hope. Real, genuine hope that we might actually have a healthy relationship someday. But I also felt something else. Caution. Because people don't change overnight and old habits die hard, and I'd been disappointed before. Time would tell which Emma was real, the one who'd taken me to dinner, or the one who'd left me at an empty restaurant. I was prepared to find out either way. 3 months passed. 3 months of Emma calling just to chat, sending pictures of her new apartment, asking about my book club instead of asking for money. 3 months of Tyler finding a new job and Emma getting comfortable in her management role. 3 months of me almost believing that our relationship had truly changed. Then came the phone call that would test everything. It was a Tuesday evening in November. I was making dinner and listening to jazz when my phone rang. Emma's name lit up the screen, but when I answered, I could immediately tell something was wrong. Mom, her voice was small, shaky. What's wrong, honey? Tyler's in the hospital. My heart clenched. What happened?
Car accident.
He's okay. Well, he's going to be okay, but he has a broken leg and some internal injuries. He needs surgery. Oh, Emma, I'm so sorry. Are you at the hospital now? Yes, I've been here all day.
Mom, I'm scared.
Of course you are. That's completely normal. Have you talked to the doctors? They say he'll be fine, but the surgery is expensive and our insurance, it doesn't cover everything. And there it was. The reason for the call. Despite 3 months of seemingly changed behavior, we were back to the same old pattern. Emma had a problem, therefore it became my problem. But I waited. I didn't immediately offer to solve it. I didn't ask how much money she needed. I just waited to see what came next. The thing is, she continued, her voice getting stronger, we have some savings now. From postponing the wedding and both working. But it's not enough for the full amount. Still, I waited. And I was wondering, I was hoping, could you possibly loan us some money? Not give, loan. With interest and a payment plan and everything official. A loan. Not a gift. Not an assumption that I would simply handle it. A loan with terms. How much do you need? $8,000. I know it's a lot, but we've already got $6,000 saved, and the total bill will be $14,000 after insurance. She had $6,000 saved. Emma and Tyler had actually saved $6,000 instead of just assuming someone else would pay for their emergency. And you want to borrow $8,000 from me?
Yes.
We can pay you back $300 a month, so it would take about 2.5 years. And we'd pay you 4% interest, which is more than you're getting in your savings account. She had thought this through. She had done math. She had considered my perspective and offered me better terms than the bank gave me. Emma, can I ask you something? Of course. Why didn't you start this conversation by asking me to just pay the bill? There was a long pause. Because it's not your bill. It's ours. Tyler is my fiancé, which makes his medical bills our responsibility, not yours. Our responsibility, not mine. And because, she continued, I remember what you said about actions having consequences. About growing up meaning solving your own problems first. But you're still asking me for help. I'm asking for a loan from someone I trust, with terms that are fair to both of us. That's different from asking you to just fix everything. It was different. Completely different. Have you considered other options? Bank loans, credit cards, payment plans with a hospital. We applied for a medical loan, but because Tyler just started his new job, they want a co-signer. We looked into credit cards, but the interest rates are terrible. And the hospital will do payment plans, but only if we can put 30% down first. She had researched alternatives. She had tried to solve the problem without involving me. So, asking me is your backup plan, not your first choice? Exactly. And if you say no, we'll figure something else out. We won't guilt trip you or make you feel bad about it. I sat down at my kitchen table, phone in hand, looking at the situation from every angle. 3 months ago, Emma would have called crying and demanding that I fix this immediately. She would have assumed I'd pay the full amount and gotten angry if I hesitated. She wouldn't have saved any money, wouldn't have researched alternatives, wouldn't have offered terms or interest. This phone call was proof that she had actually changed. Yes, I said. Yes. Yes, I'll loan you the $8,000. 4% interest, $300 a month, full payment in 32 months. Really? Mom, thank you so much. This is such a relief. But Emma, I have conditions. Of course. What conditions? First, we're going to draw up a proper loan agreement. Signed, witnessed, legally binding. Absolutely. Second, if you miss a payment, the full amount becomes due immediately. That's fair. And third, this is the only loan I will ever give you. If you need money again after this, the answer will be no, regardless of the circumstances. She was quiet for a moment. Even if it's another emergency? Even then.
This is your one loan, Emma.
Use it wisely. I understand. And Mom, thank you for trusting me with this. Thank you for giving me a reason to trust you. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen thinking about the conversation. Emma had handled a crisis without falling apart. She had researched solutions before calling me. She had offered fair terms and accepted reasonable conditions. Most importantly, she had taken responsibility for her own life while still maintaining our relationship. This was what healthy looked like. The next day, I had my lawyer draw up the loan agreement. Emma and Tyler both signed it without complaint. The first payment arrived in my account exactly 30 days later. So did the second payment and the third. But just as I was starting to truly believe that Emma had changed, life threw us both a curveball that would test everything we'd built. It was spring when Emma called with news that should have been happy but sounded anything but. Mom, Tyler got a promotion. That's wonderful, sweetheart. It is.
It really is.
But there's a complication. Of course there was. His new position starts in 2 months, and it's in Seattle. I set down my coffee. Seattle? We have to move.
Soon.
Like really soon. Okay. I waited for the rest of it, the part where this became a crisis requiring my intervention. And we were hoping to have the wedding before we move, because all our friends and family are here, and it would be so much easier than trying to plan something long distance. That makes sense. But planning a wedding in 2 months is, well, it's expensive. All the good vendors charge rush fees, and we'd have to book whatever's available instead of what we actually want. Here it comes, I thought. The request for money, the assumption that I'll solve this problem. What are you thinking of doing? We've been going crazy trying to figure it out. We looked into postponing again, but Tyler's parents are getting older, and they really want to see him married before before anything happens to them. I understand that. And we looked into having a small ceremony here and a bigger reception in Seattle later, but that's basically like paying for 2 weddings. Also complicated. So we're stuck. Either we have a rushed, expensive wedding here, or we disappoint Tyler's parents and have a wedding where half the people we love can't attend. I waited. Emma had laid out the problem clearly, explored the options, and acknowledged the challenges. But she hadn't asked me for anything yet. What do you think you're going to do? I think, she said slowly, we're going to have to choose Tyler's family over the perfect wedding. This surprised me. The old Emma would have demanded the perfect wedding at any cost. You're going to postpone? We're going to have a very small, very simple ceremony in his parents' backyard. Maybe 20 people total. Tyler's immediate family, you. My friend Sarah as maid of honor, his brother as best man. That's it. How do you feel about that? Honestly, disappointed. I always dreamed of a big wedding with all my friends and a beautiful dress and dancing and everything. But I'm also okay with it. Like, the important thing is marrying Tyler, not having a party. When had Emma become this mature? When had she learned to distinguish between what she wanted and what actually mattered? That sounds very wise, Emma. Plus, we'll save so much money that we can actually buy a house in Seattle instead of renting. And maybe in a few years, we can throw a big anniversary party and invite everyone. That's a lovely idea. The only thing I'm really sad about is the dress. The dress? I found this amazing dress months ago. It's perfect, but it's $2,000, and I can't justify spending that much for a backyard ceremony with 20 people. $2,000. 6 months ago, Emma would have simply assumed I'd buy her the dress. Now she was talking herself out of it because it didn't make financial sense. What will you wear instead? I found a really pretty dress at David's Bridal for $300. It's not my dream dress, but it's beautiful in its own way. I thought about this conversation, about how different it was from every other wedding-related discussion we'd had. Emma was being practical instead of demanding. She was making sacrifices instead of expecting others to make them for her. Emma, can I ask you something?
Sure.
If I offered to buy you the dress, the dream dress, would you accept? There was a long pause. Are you offering?
I'm asking hypothetically.
If I offered, would you take it? I don't know. I mean, yes, I'd want to. But I also think it's wrong to spend $2,000 on a dress for a backyard wedding, even if it's not my money. Even if it's your mother wanting to give you a wedding gift. Mom, you've already given us a loan. You don't owe us anything else. I know I don't owe you anything. I'm talking about wanting to give you something. But you're saving for retirement and you want to travel, and... Emma, what if I told you I could afford the dress without impacting any of my other goals? Can you answer my question first? If money wasn't an issue, would you accept the dress as a wedding gift? She was quiet for a long time. Yes, she said finally. But only if you're absolutely sure you can afford it and you really want to give it to me, not because you feel like you have to. I really want to give it to you, because you've shown me that you understand the difference between needs and wants. Because you chose practical over perfect. Because you didn't ask me to solve your problem. Are you serious? Dead serious. Let's go shopping for your dream dress. The sound she made was somewhere between a laugh and a sob. Mom, I can't believe, are you sure? I'm sure. But Emma? Yeah. This is my wedding gift to you. The dress and nothing else. I'm not paying for flowers or photography or catering or anything else. I wouldn't expect you to. Good. Then let's find you a dress that's worthy of marrying the man you love. 3 weeks later, I watched my daughter walk down a makeshift aisle in Tyler's parents' backyard, wearing a $2,000 dress that made her look like a princess and carrying flowers she'd arranged herself from the farmer's market.
She was radiant.
Not because everything was perfect, but because she'd learned to find joy in what she had instead of misery in what she lacked. The ceremony was simple, the reception was potluck, and the photographs were taken by Tyler's cousin with a nice camera. It was also the most beautiful wedding I'd ever attended, because it was a wedding planned by adults who understood that love matters more than luxury, and commitment matters more than celebrations. My daughter had finally grown up. I'm actually getting emotional watching Sandra and Emma's relationship heal. But don't think this is where our story ends. Oh no, we've got several more chapters of drama coming your way. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell because the real test of their new relationship is just beginning. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens when Emma faces her biggest challenge yet. Emma and Tyler moved to Seattle 3 weeks after their backyard wedding. We talked every Sunday, a tradition Emma had suggested, and texted throughout the week. She sent pictures of their new apartment, stories about Tyler's job, updates on her search for work in a new city. For 6 months, everything seemed perfect. Emma was handling her new life with maturity and grace. She'd found a job at an upscale boutique, made friends with neighbors, even joined a hiking group. The loan payments continued to arrive on schedule. Our Sunday calls were full of laughter and genuine conversation. I began to think we'd finally found our rhythm as adult women who happened to be mother and daughter. Then came the call that changed everything. It was a Thursday evening in October when my phone rang. Not Sunday. Not our scheduled time. And when I answered, Emma was sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. Mom, I need help. The old familiar panic rose in my chest, but I forced myself to stay calm. What's wrong, honey? Are you hurt? Is Tyler hurt? No, we're not hurt. But Mom, we're in trouble. Real trouble. Tell me what happened. Tyler's company, they've been doing some kind of financial fraud. The FBI raided the offices today. Tyler didn't know anything about it, but he's been arrested anyway because he signed some documents his boss told him to sign. I sat down hard in my kitchen chair. Emma, slow down. Tyler's been arrested?
Yes.
They let him out on bail, but Mom, the lawyer says he could go to prison. Even though he didn't know what was happening, he signed papers that made him look guilty. Where is he now? He's here with me. We used our house down payment money for bail and lawyer fees. Their house down payment. The money they'd been saving so carefully. How much do you need for legal fees? The question was out of my mouth before I could stop it. Old habits. Mom, I'm not calling to ask for money. This stopped me short. You're not.
No.
I'm calling because I'm scared and I don't know what to do, and I wanted to hear my mother's voice. When was the last time Emma had called just because she needed emotional support rather than financial rescue? Tell me everything, I said. For the next hour, Emma explained the situation. Tyler's company had been running an elaborate pyramid scheme disguised as investment management. Tyler, as a junior analyst, had been told to process certain transactions and sign certain documents. He'd done what his boss asked without questioning it. The lawyer says Tyler is what they call a small fish, Emma explained. But he's still facing charges because he participated, even unknowingly. What do the lawyers think will happen? Best case scenario, he gets probation and community service. Worst case, 2 to 5 years in prison. And the legal fees? $30,000 minimum. We've already spent $8,000. $30,000. More than I made in 6 months. Emma, have you looked into public defenders? Legal aid?
Yes.
Tyler qualifies for a public defender, but the lawyer we hired specializes in white-collar crime. She has a much better track record of getting charges reduced or dismissed. So, you need $22,000 more dollars.
Yes.
But Mom, I'm not asking you to lend it to us. You're not.
No.
We can't afford to pay you back right now, which means it would be asking for a gift, not a loan. And that's not fair to you. I was quiet for a moment trying to process this. Emma was facing the biggest crisis of her adult life, and she wasn't automatically assuming I would solve it for her. What are you going to do? We're going to switch to the public defender and hope for the best. And I'm going to get a second job to help pay for whatever legal fees we can afford. A second job? Nights and weekends at a coffee shop. The pay isn't great, but every little bit helps. Emma was going to work 2 jobs to handle this crisis instead of simply expecting me to write a check. I'm proud of you, I said. Proud of me? Mom, my husband might go to prison, and we're about to lose our apartment because we spent our savings on bail money. I'm proud of you for not immediately asking me to fix this. I'm proud of you for researching options and making sacrifices and taking responsibility. But what if we can't handle it? What if Tyler goes to prison because we can't afford good enough legal help? The pain in her voice was genuine. This wasn't manipulation or drama. This was my daughter facing the possibility of losing her husband to a situation that wasn't even his fault. Emma, can I think about this overnight? Not the money, but everything. The situation, the options, what might be best for all of us. Of course. And Mom, thank you for listening. Thank you for not making me feel like a failure for getting into this mess. This isn't your fault, sweetheart. Neither of you did anything wrong. I know. But the old me would have blamed you for not somehow preventing this. The old me would have made this your emergency instead of mine. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time, thinking. Emma hadn't asked me for money. She'd called for comfort and advice, like a daughter calls a mother. She was prepared to work 2 jobs and switch to a public defender rather than assume I would fund her crisis. This was what I'd wanted, wasn't it? For Emma to handle her own problems? But watching your child struggle when you have the power to help is one of the hardest things a parent can do. Even when that struggle is teaching them important lessons about independence and responsibility. I thought about my savings account, about the Italy trip I'd been planning, about my retirement fund and my comfortable little house and my peaceful, drama-free life. Then I thought about Tyler, who'd done nothing wrong except trust his boss, about Emma, who'd grown into the daughter I'd always hoped she could be, about the choice between letting them struggle through this alone or offering help that wouldn't destroy the progress we'd made. By morning, I knew what I was going to do, but it wasn't what Emma expected. I called Emma the next morning before she left for work. "I've been thinking about your situation all night," I said. "Mom, whatever you're thinking, please don't feel like you have to." Emma let me finish. "I want to help you, but not in the way you might expect." "I don't expect anything. I know you don't. That's exactly why I want to help." I took a deep breath. "I'm going to loan you the $22,000 for Tyler's legal fees." "Mom, we can't pay you back right now. You're going to pay me back differently." "What do you mean?" "No money.
No monthly payments.
No interest." "I don't understand." "You're going to pay me back by never, ever asking me for money again. For anything. Ever." There was a long silence. "This is your last loan, Emma. After this, you are completely financially independent from me. If your car breaks down, you figure it out. If you want to buy a house, you save for it yourself. If you have another emergency, you handle it without me." "But what if?" "No what ifs. This is it. This is me giving you the tools to handle the crisis that isn't your fault and then stepping back completely. Forever. Forever. After this, our relationship will be purely emotional. I'll be your mother who loves you and supports you and celebrates with you and comforts you. But I will never be your bank again." I could hear her breathing on the other end of the phone. "And if I agree to this, you'll loan us the money for Tyler's lawyer?"
Yes.
"But only if you truly understand what you're agreeing to. This is permanent, Emma. There are no emergencies big enough to change this rule. What if you get sick and need help? Then you help me with your time and your presence, not your money, because you'll have learned to manage your own money responsibly. And if we want to visit for holidays, you save up for plane tickets like every other adult does. What if we want to have kids someday and childcare is expensive? Then you plan your family around what you can afford, like every other responsible parent does." She was quiet for a very long time. "This is scary, Mom. I know it is. But Emma, this is what being an adult actually means. Making decisions based on what you can afford, not what you want. Solving problems with your own resources. Planning for the future instead of assuming someone else will fund it. What if I'm not ready? You are ready. You've proven it over the last year. You saved money, you researched options, you got a second job, you didn't immediately assume I would rescue you. You are absolutely ready. And after this, if something terrible happens and we really are in trouble, you'll figure it out. Because you're smart and capable and resourceful. Because that's what adults do." Another long pause. "Okay," she said finally. Okay. I agree. This is our last financial transaction. After this, I'm on my own." "Are you sure?" "I'm terrified, but yes, I'm sure."
And Mom?
"Yes. Thank you. Not just for the money, but for believing I can handle my own life." "I more than believe it, Emma. I know it." 3 days later, I wired $22,000 to Emma's account. Tyler's lawyer was paid in full. 6 months after that, Tyler's charges were reduced to probation and community service. Emma never asked me for money again. She got promoted to assistant manager at her new job. Tyler found work at a small accounting firm that actually checked their employees' ethics. They moved to a smaller apartment to save money and started rebuilding their savings. 2 years later, they bought a modest house with a down payment they'd saved themselves. 3 years later, they had their first baby, after saving for a full year to cover Emma's maternity leave. When I flew to Seattle to meet my grandson, I paid for my own plane ticket. When they visited me for Christmas, they saved up for months to afford the trip. Emma never complained about this arrangement, never hinted that I should help, never made me feel guilty for having money while they struggled to build their life. Because she'd learned the most important lesson of all, that self-respect comes from self-reliance, and that the best gift a parent can give an adult child is the confidence to handle their own life. Our relationship became deeper, richer, and more genuine than it had ever been when money was always flowing between us. Because when you remove financial transactions from a family relationship, what's left is pure love. And that, it turned out, was worth more than any amount of money I could have given her. 5 years have passed since Tyler's legal troubles. 5 years since I made my final loan to Emma. 5 years since she became financially independent from me. In those 5 years, I've watched my daughter bloom into a woman I genuinely admire. She and Tyler own their modest house in Seattle. She runs the boutique where she works. They have 2 beautiful children, my grandson Michael and my granddaughter Sophie. I've visited them 6 times, always paying my own way. They visited me 4 times, always saving for months in advance. We talk every Sunday and text throughout the week. Our conversations are full of love, laughter, and genuine interest in each other's lives. Emma never asks for money. Not when their water heater broke. Not when Tyler's car needed major repairs. Not when they wanted to add a bedroom for the new baby. She handles every crisis with grace and resourcefulness. When she couldn't afford the bedroom addition, she converted their garage herself, watching YouTube videos and borrowing tools from neighbors. When Tyler's car repairs cost more than they had saved, she sold her jewelry and they used public transportation until they could afford a reliable used car. She's become the woman I always hoped she would be. Independent, capable, and genuinely happy with a life she built herself. Which is why, when my phone rang last Tuesday evening, I answered with my usual cheerful greeting.
Hey, so,
How are you, Mom? Emma's voice was shaky. I need to tell you something. The old panic tried to rise in my chest, but I pushed it down. Emma handled her own problems now. What's going on? Tyler and I are getting divorced. I sat down hard.
Oh, Emma.
I'm so sorry. What happened? We've been growing apart for a while. He wants different things than I do. We tried counseling, but we both finally admitted we're just not happy together anymore. How are you doing? How are the kids? The kids are handling it better than I expected. We're doing shared custody, and we're staying friends.
But Mom.
Here it comes, I thought. The financial crisis. The need for a lawyer, a new apartment, child support, something that requires my money. I'm scared, she finished. Scared of what? Scared of being a single mom. Scared of handling everything alone. Scared of making mistakes that hurt my kids. She wasn't asking for money. She was asking for the thing I'd always been able to give freely, emotional support. You're going to be an amazing single mother, I said. You've already proven you can handle anything life throws at you. But what if I can't afford the house payments on my own? Then you'll sell the house and find something you can afford. What if the kids hate me for breaking up their family? Then you'll keep loving them and being the best mother you can be until they understand. What if I make wrong decisions? Then you'll learn from them and make better decisions next time. For every fear she voiced, I had the same answer. You'll figure it out. Because that's what strong, capable women do. Mom, she said after a while. Thank you. For what? For not offering to rescue me. For believing I can handle this myself. Can you handle it yourself? Yes, she said, and her voice was stronger now. I can. It won't be easy, but I can do this. I know you can. And if I need to talk, if I need advice, if I need someone to remind me that I'm strong enough, I'll be here. Always. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen thinking about the conversation. 5 years ago, Emma's divorce would have become my emergency. I would have offered money for lawyers, deposits on new apartments, extra childcare costs. I would have tried to solve her problems instead of supporting her while she solved them herself. This Emma didn't need me to solve anything. She needed me to love her, believe in her, and remind her of her own strength. 6 months later, Emma sold the house and moved to a charming apartment near her work. She got another promotion and a raise. The kids adjusted beautifully to their new life. She didn't ask me for money for moving expenses, deposits, or anything else. She handled it all herself, the way strong, independent women do. Last month, she called with surprising news. "Mom, I've been seeing someone." "Oh, tell me about him." "His name is David, and he's a teacher at the kids' school. We've been taking things very slowly." "How do the children feel about him?" "They love him. He's patient and kind, and he doesn't try to replace their father. He just fits into our life naturally." That sounds wonderful. It is. And, Mom, the best part is that he loves that I'm independent. He says it's one of the things that attracted him to me, that I handle my own life and don't need someone to take care of me.
Smart man.
He asked me something the other day that made me think of you. "What's that?" He asked how I learned to be so self-sufficient, how I got comfortable making my own decisions and handling my own problems. What did you tell him? I told him my mother taught me the hard way, by loving me enough to let me fail and believing in me enough to know I'd figure out how to succeed. And I told him that the best thing that ever happened to me was my mother cutting off my access to her credit card. I laughed. I bet that was an interesting conversation. He said he hoped he could be that kind of parent someday, the kind who raises children who don't need rescuing. He sounds like a keeper.
He is.
And Mom. Yes. I want you to meet him. The kids and I are planning to visit for Easter, and I'd love for you to get to know him. I'd love that too. Fair warning though, we're splitting the cost of the plane tickets 4 ways, so it might take us a while to save up for the trip. I smiled. Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready. After that call, I realized something profound had happened. Emma wasn't just financially independent for me anymore. She was emotionally independent too. She didn't need my approval for her relationship choices, my permission for her life decisions, or my validation for her parenting style. She was calling to share her happiness with someone she loved, not to ask for anything. That evening, I opened my laptop and did something I'd been thinking about for months. I opened a travel website and booked a trip to Italy. 2 weeks in Tuscany, staying in small villages, touring wineries, taking art classes. I could afford it now. Not because I'd suddenly come into money, but because I wasn't supporting anyone else's lifestyle anymore. My money was my own, to spend on my own dreams. As I finalized the booking, my phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Thanks for the great conversation today, Mom. I love you." I texted back. "I love you too, sweetheart. Sleep well." No requests for money. No crises to solve. No emergencies requiring my immediate attention. Just love, freely given and freely received. I looked at my Italy confirmation email and smiled. Tomorrow, I would start shopping for the trip I'd been dreaming about for years. The trip I could finally take because I'd learned the hardest lesson of parenthood. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is teach your children they don't need you. Emma's 13-hour drive to an empty restaurant had been the beginning of our story. But this quiet evening with Italy on my computer screen and my independent daughter living her own beautiful life. This was our happy ending. Not because we never spoke again, but because we finally spoke as equals. Not because I stopped loving her, but because I learned to love her correctly. Emma had grown up at last. And so it turned out had I. The woman who had driven 13 hours to an engagement dinner that didn't include her was gone. In her place was someone stronger, wiser, and infinitely more at peace. Someone who is finally living her own life instead of subsidizing everyone else's. Someone who had learned that the most powerful word in the English language isn't yes. It's no. And sometimes, if you're very lucky and very brave, no can teach the people you love to find their own yes. Emma found hers. And in teaching her to find it, I found mine too. What an incredible journey Sandra went on. From being treated like an ATM to building a genuine, healthy relationship with her daughter. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. And if you're ready to start your own journey of reclaiming your life and peace, don't forget to check out our book, Reclaiming Your Peace After Pain, in the description below. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Her True Stories. Remember, your story matters, your boundaries matter, and you deserve relationships built on respect, not obligation. I'll see you in the next episode, and until then, keep writing your own beautiful.